right, and we back with another episode of Hey, I'm Just Asking. And today we want to talk about DC versus everybody, a Dodge City story. Now, when it comes to DC, the District of Columbia, man, just listen to that name and it sounds like this is a place that has a criminal element going on, right? Now, I'm not saying if you're an out of towner that you can't come to DC and make something stack, because there's a selected few that have posted up and had some success here. However, if you on that BS or some this is a takeover type move, 10 times out of 10 you will lose here. Alpo Martinez is the only criminal that I can actually say he was able to trick the city and live to tell the story. His money made the city pick sides, so a lot of people died while he was here. Wayne Perry and Shorty Pop made Alpo a household name. He would have been dead without that DC muscle behind him. So this is DC versus everybody. A Dodge City story. Washington, D.C., my city, the only place in the world with no mafia and no gang banging. D.C. runs its own underworld. You hear me? And it ain't no exceptions to that rule. The mafia had a presence back in the day in D.C. until we became a chocolate city. The South before the South was cool, D.C. was. The Mason-Dixon line, Southern hospitality mixed with the East Coast. If you know what you know, D.C. has always been the middleman. When the South was peaceful, D.C. was at war against the Shower Posse / New York era, the Jamaicans. It was hand-to-hand combat, maybe a knife or a bat-down beating if necessary, but gunplay was held to a minimum. At worst case scenario, okay, you might have got jumped at the go-go because, hey, that shit just happens here. Your hood is what you represent. Without an oath or a jump in, it's just a thorough thing to do. The New Yorkers and Jamaicans had guns, so DC turned up and became the murder capital. Now, when the Jamaicans arrived, they came in droves, 30 to 60 deep at a time, depending on how big the neighborhood was that they was trying to take over. DC was more on PCP, heroin, and powder coke before the Jamaicans came. So when they introduced the city to crack cocaine, man, the rest was history. Welcome to the crack epidemic. Crack was the biggest thing to hit the hood since McDonald's. Hence the nickname McCrack. The only difference was McDonald's wasn't hiring. So once the Jamaicans offered jobs, rent money, or crack itself, man, it was easy for them to start a monopoly. But if you know anything about Jamaican gangsters, they disrespectful. It's nothing for them to put a gun to your temple and make you gravel. It's like they get a kick out of flexing their power. And that didn't sit well in the city. Imagine coming to see one of your family members, but when you get there, the dread man is running the household and looking at you crazy like you don't belong here. Man, they set up shop and took over poor people with no structures, or the junkies. Then they made apartment hustles and stole the city off guard. The Yardis got greedy though, so DC had to stand on business. And in my opinion, that's when we started dealing with New York for the guns. The Jamaicans already had the firepower. DC had to play catch up to even the odds. Now, I mentioned the Shower Posse, but it was a few other groups. The Bonton Posse, the Spangler Posse, the Super Posse, and they were spread throughout DC and Maryland. Fake passports, fake social security numbers, and fake driver's license. Fraud 101. They had a license to ill. So it was wartime. And honestly, I can say this war changed the murder game in DC forever. The Jamaicans started dropping by the threes. It was combo pack killings with extra ketchup. A bloody war zone. Man, it got so bad that the Channel 5 News created a show to keep the score called City Under Siege. Hey, the original Generation X Washingtonians know what I'm talking about. It was Tech 9s, Uzis, and 9mm. Get down and get little. The game changed from dodging 6 shots to now you gotta dodge 100. Why y'all think the police department started packing 9s? Hey, you gotta thank the Jamaicans for that. No more revolvers. DC evolved so when the smoke cleared, it was go back to Jamaica. They even had a commercial. Go back to Jamaica. Man, y'all remember that junk? Make it your home. I'm on joke time, but anyway, the war is over, but now DC needed a new plug. It was time to take a bite out of the Big Apple. Hey, let's rock with New York. Now, the stand-up Jamaicans that played the game fair, they survived the war and remained relevant because they had the hookups. Rayful Edmonds was king, but he wasn't the only hustler getting to that paper because DC had quite a few kingpins, known and unknown. New York saw the gold mine. And honestly, I think that's where the love-hate relationship started. They got the product, but they on consignment. Like, really, you would rather holler directly to their plug because at some point, they wasn't able to keep up with the real DC hustlers' grind. Where I'm from, we keep at least 2 plugs. Plus, you got a third one for emergency purposes on speed dial. You rather be safe than sorry because you can't eat if you can't supply. New York made the same mistakes the Jamaicans did, though. You gotta relax. Don't get greedy. But to play devil's advocate, DC did they share of dirt because it got cruddy with New York at times as well. Like, the city will put you on probation, do a few rounds with you until you lower the price. But if you don't, you're going to get robbed or maybe worse just because it's a price to pay to play here. Trust and believe you me. DC is small. So New Yorkers, Jamaicans, out-of-towners, and gangbangers stick out like sore thumbs. They got to get out of Dodge. And I mean that literally. But don't get it twisted though. Man, we love New York. It's like a secret society. DC and New York still doing big business to this day. Like under the radar life. Where we can't say names, but I'ma still mention one. Demencio Benson. Shout out to Montana because they definitely adopted a real one. Demencio was the opposite of Albo because he passed the test of respect to get love in a cutthroat city. Honorable mention. The Bloods and the Crips tried to get active. And I used to shake my head at that because I used to live in Cali. So salute to Long Beach. What's the difference between DC and California? They gangbang. We hood bang, where it's more independence. No flag or a color gonna slow up the business. So if you put a name or a number on it, man, that's just begging the feds to come investigate. And that's crash test dummy status. Because we got too many letter boys on the front line. The FBI, the ATF, the CIA, and the IRS. That type of set tripping didn't survive in real time. I don't know. I just wanted to give y'all, maybe I'll call this part 1 of DC versus everybody, a Dodge City story. But man, y'all tell me what y'all think about this situation. Man, DC went up against the mafia, the Jamaicans, the New Yorkers, as well as the Bloods and Crips. And is still standing to this day, living independently. Man, like this video, share this video, comment and subscribe. Hey, I'm just asking.